And I would say good evening and welcome to our annual Village Board Budget. Let me try that again. Village Board Budget Workshop that we have. This is the first of a potential 3 village workshops that we are holding remotely this year, which is historic for the village. First time we've done that as well. I would ask you all at this time to just mute yourselves for a minute so we can say the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will say it out loud so you can hear it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Hope you saw my flag. Hope that came through. Okay. Excellent. So just to give some people a little background on our village budget workshops, we start, Catherine Hasbrook, our village treasurer, starts working with departments about in the last month or so. They have worksheets and paperwork to work on the budget for next year, looking at their expenses and such. And they put that all together in a draft form, which is not the budget. Let me make that clear. What we have that was online is not our current budget. It shows you last year, prior year, and then, potentially what could be our budget coming up. So where it says 2021-22, that is not set. Nothing is done until after the public hearing in our meeting in April. So those numbers will change possibly between now and our last budget workshop. So keep that in mind. It's a working document. We generally will ask the department heads or budgeted areas to, just talk to us briefly about any changes in their budget, increases, decreases, something you see coming on the horizon. Even if it's something we want to plan for next year, just let us know that. And trustees, did I leave anything out? Just nothing? Okay, just checking. So I think just to move things along, and Joe, we welcome you. Joe Burke is here from the Altamont Free Library. He's always, our first traditional presenter. So Joe, thank you for sending in what you sent. Do you want to talk to us a little about it?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks for letting me go first. I really appreciate it. I don't have the excuse that I have to drive home to Albany today, so I don't know if I still have legitimate right to go first, but I'll take it anyway. So I've sent around our budget requests. Everybody should have seen it at this point, along with an outline of our 2021 budget. We put our budget together in September. We deal with 3 different municipalities: the town of Guilderland, the town of Knox, and the village of Altamont. And so we always prepare it ahead of time for our municipalities, Guilderland and Knox, that have a January to December budget year. And so there's always the chance that by the time we get to February, there are going to be some changes. And I do have one thing that I might suggest to you, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. It's been a weird year. It's been a real weird year. We were, at this time last year, we were holding our gala. We had I saw a lot of you guys there. We had a beautiful time. Bringing 180 of our best friends together in the community room at Village Hall is, yeah, it seems like it was a lot longer ago than just a year. The idea that we would be doing that again anytime soon, I don't know. But after that, after the pandemic hit, we closed for 3 months, and we've been open in limited service. We've still been really busy. Our circulation is 4/5 of what it was. Our circulation in this past January was 4/5 of what it was last January, which is really, really good compared to other libraries in the area. So we're staying really busy. We're still doing programs, book clubs, video story times, kid meetups. We're doing, lots of stuff. We love being able to use the park for our gatherings in the warmer weather months. And we were so lucky to be able to hold ukulele meetups and book clubs and things like that out in the park. So I really want to thank you all for letting us do that. What we're asking for this year is $58,000. It's the same as we last year. This is against a total overall budget For the entire library. This is everything that we're going to spend all year, $167,000. So that's everything. Running an organization, maintaining a historic building, all of the staff, all of the everything, the collection. Um, so obviously we run a pretty tight ship, and we always have. Breaking out the $58,000 real quick, we're looking at $49,000 in contractual expenses, 8,000 for the capital fund, and as we discussed back in September when the library was putting the budget together, we were asking for $1,000 for the summer concert series, and that's kind of what I wanted to come back and talk to, because obviously things have changed since then. When we were talking about this, the board. We were putting together this request based on the idea that we would be back to having the summer concert series, and I honestly don't know whether we're going to be able to or not. I don't think we're far enough in the year to be able to. Normally, we would start putting that together around this time. I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to start working on that just yet. I don't think it's I don't think that would be prudent. Probably at some point, over the next 2 months, we'll get a clearer sense of maybe what the summer is going to look like. And there's no lack of great musical talent out there, and we've got all the contacts, so we can put it together pretty quickly if we decide that we're going to be able to safely do it. But if amongst the board you decide that it's not going to be prudent to go forward with planning for the concert series for this year, then that might be something that you would want to look at. But and I it might be malpractice of me for to say keep that money. But I think that over the years we've built up a decent amount of credibility in terms of not asking for what we don't need. And if we're not going to need it, then I'm not going to ask for it. So I really don't know where we are on that yet, but that's the request. It comes out to $33.72 per man, woman, and child in the village. If you include the appropriation that we get from the town of Guilderland and Altamont residents portion of that, that's another $1.71, so a total of $35.43. It's an incredible value for what the library does for the community. We were recently awarded a library journal star library designation for the third time in the past 4 years. So you've got a world class, or at least a nationally ranked library in your midst. So that you're getting a good value for what you do. Like I said, we're staying really busy. We're keeping on with all the programming. It's harder, it's weirder. It might be a little bit less satisfying for the participants. I know it's less satisfying for us. We look very, 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 very much forward to being able to throw those doors open again and let everybody just walk on in. We are very conscientious about, we've got staff members who have comorbidities. We have staff members who are, we've got one staff member who's 87 years old, and so we got to be very careful about that, and about, creating a place where people are going to be gathering and congregating and potentially spreading. But, I think we're doing the best job that we can with the lay of the land. And I do think that in the next couple of weeks, assuming that, infection rates stay where they are, that we'll be able to open back up for browsing by appointment, for maybe 20 minute appointments, for, one family at a time or a couple of people at a time. And, I really hope that by the summer, we'll be back to something pretty close to a normal course of business. Obviously, we'll see about that, but that's the request. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No, thank you. And I think I can speak for everyone and say we really appreciate the job that you and all the staff are doing for the village residents. This is not a fun time. I know at school, library services are very tricky to deliver, and the fact that you continue to do that is wonderful. I could say we will do our best to try to accommodate the increase. As you know, even for us, we've taken a hit on many areas, but we'll see what we can do in the, in the big picture of the whole thing. And I will say a little good news. I mean, I don't know if it's good news, but just in concert, I'm a big fan of the concert series. They were talking to us in our emails today about possibility of using the Tower Center stage for some June concerts for our kids as a place to perform outside since we can't perform inside. So that is starting to roll out there, and maybe, it'll be fine in a couple months. Yeah.
I hope so. I hope so. And, maybe we can talk about things that we can do to, maybe a shorter concert series. Things that we could do to, I don't know, keep everybody on a blanket, keep all it, the concern is the kid that is the swarms, the gathering, which is normally my favorite bit of it, the beehive of kids, running around the gazebo and annoying the performers. That's my favorite bit of it. But it's a risk. So I hope that we can do it. I'll be happy to be able to do it.
Does anyone have questions for Joe at all on this? All right, I guess we're good for now, Joe. I mean, we'll keep you posted. But thank you for coming. I mean, you're welcome to stay, of course, but I know you probably have things to do.
Thank you,
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Take
Bye.
care, guys.
All right. I think I promised I made a list, actually. I think I promised to go to our chief QC and his budget for under police.
Thank you.
You look like you're stressed right now out there. So do you want to, give us a summary of what you submitted or anything
Yeah.
coming up?
Sure. Obviously, it was a tough year as far as revenue goes. I know we're one of the only sources of revenue besides taxes, but obviously with the COVID, there wasn't as much traffic and, rarely as much enforcement, no fare. A lot of stuff where we usually make extra money wasn't existent this year. So we took a hit on that side. But as far as the budget goes, as far as spending, my budget has stayed the same as previous years. The only thing I did change is with the purchase of the new vehicle. I figured we took $1,000 from the repairs line and moved it to training to coincide with the police reform that we're undergoing right now. I think it's important that we have money available. So when they start having the training on stuff like de-escalation and the different items that we're discussing right now in our reform committee, I just want to make sure we have the money available there to get our officers trained. But other than that, I really haven't changed anything. I ain't looking for nothing different. In the foreseeable future, I don't see much change. Again, we do have the new vehicle, so we should be pretty well set there as well. In regards to the new vehicle, just so everyone has an idea of what's going on. Everything is done on the car other than we're waiting. It's at Metro Ford because when they sent us the car, they put blue lights facing forward, and in New York State, it's illegal to have forward facing blue lights on a police vehicle. So it was their mistake. There's no cost to it, but unfortunately it's taken a while because they had to argue over who was paying for it, the dealership or Ford. So, but that's been resolved, and I'm told that I spoke to Bill over there today, and I was told the parts are on order and en route. So we should be hopefully getting, the car itself is all done. It's already all fully equipped and ready to go. So we're just waiting on Ford.
Did you decide which car we will be getting rid of? Which one of the other two?
Yeah, the Crown Vic.
That one. Okay.
It's 2011. It's the oldest one.
Okay. All right.
It's starting to get a little rust on it, show its age a little bit. But
does anybody have any questions for Todd?
Yeah, Todd, don't talk about it like that. That's so sad. The poor car.
Anybody have any budget questions? Good, Michelle. Nothing.
I will say that I increased the insurance a little bit because it went up 6% so it on the it went from 7810 to 8100. So,
Yeah, I
just so
saw
you
that in
know.
a couple places, other areas as well.
Right.
Insurance costs have gone up.
Yep, a little bit.
Yep. Oh, which is great. All right. Todd, obviously, if we have any questions after this, yours is pretty straightforward from year to year.
Yep.
We'll let you know before the next workshop.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
great. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Kyle, I gotta get to my fire page here. There we go. There we go. Kyle, you're up next for the fire department. Anything you want to highlight or talk about?
Yeah, I try to keep it mostly the same. It's a few $1,000s more, so like a percent or not even. I don't even think it's 2% more. For a few reasons. Mostly, I upped the equipment line a little bit. We have a lot of course, I just lost my notes. There we go. Next year, we're going to be ordering 5 new sets of turnout gear, which is $14,000 for a coat and a pant for five sets of those. It's pretty crazy, the cost of those things. And then on top of that, helmets and boots and hoods and gloves, all turnout gear related. Those items there are all equal to be like another, doing the math in my head here, roughly $4,000 or $5,000 for those accessories to the gear. Some new flashlights for the apparatus. A lot of them are getting very old and not functioning anymore. Fire hose to replace some stuff that's gone bad and some stuff that will go bad. Every year when we have our hose testing, there's always failures. So it's just the nature of the hose. Some pumps for pump outs for basements. The new portables that we got years ago. I'll be looking to replace some batteries just to be proactive on the batteries so that they, if or when they start failing. Some new pagers. That alone, 5 new pagers is like $3,000. It's crazy how expensive those are. And then some batteries for the hand tools, like our power tools and stuff. And then the other line that had to be increased was the maintenance and repair line for 17 engine 17. We've already spent, I think, $1,000 more than our budget from last year. There was just a lot of unforeseen issues with that truck this year, with the pump and I think something to do with the rear axle at one point. I think that was this year. So I upped that an additional $1,500 to $5,000 just to prepare for that truck beginning to age. So, or it is aging already, but yeah, so we're preparing for that as well. Other than that, mostly everything else is the same or pretty close to.
And also on that note, the insurance, I actually reduced that about 4,000 because the cancer insurance, we had estimated around 6,000 a few years ago, and it's coming in a little under 2. So we were able to lower that a little bit.
Okay. I was on that one. Kyle, I don't have knowledge of your purchasing for these things that we're, turnout gear and all that. Is this something that when you do purchase, if you purchase greater quantities, there is a reduction, or is there ever?
Yeah, for sure. Like if we were to go out for, I want to say at least 10 sets,
Yeah.
I think there's some discounts we can get there.
I'm curious just about thinking about like with other municipal, groups or municipalities, is there any kind of shared services we could do for these things, looking at it big picture down the road?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And like we've done things like that for purchasing air packs in the town. And the reason I'm thinking like in the town is, 6 out of 7 of the departments in the town of Guilderland use the same exact air pack system. Well, at least the same manufacturer, so that they're somewhat interchangeable. So that's one example. And I think we did that years ago, or maybe that was radios, but that before my time anyway. The thing with turnout gear is that I don't know that any department, except maybe us and 400, but everyone uses different turnout gear in our town, at least.
Okay.
So we would all have to get 7 fire chiefs to agree on the same exact turnout gear. in order to get like some major big discount, right? But there's other departments that have their budget that can actually purchase their own 50 sets of turnout gear if they decide to switch manufacturers or something. But yeah, it's
Pagers maybe, or do you use different kinds of pagers?
pagers is more likely, I would say, but I don't know. I specifically don't know about pagers, what kind of discount there would be. I'm sure there would be one, but that would be more of a, we all use, one department uses something a little different, but that would be much easier to get everybody on board for pagers because we all we're all in the same exact system, and it varies between like 1 or 2 manufacturers that everybody uses. So that would be much easier to do actually.
Yeah, I was just thinking not to change the budget amount, but just when the chiefs meetings come up, and I've been to them, so they're hard to see to get that many people to agree on one thing.
I was
But
going to ask, can you ever get 7 fire chiefs to
I
agree to
don't think
anything?
they no.
Like, they agree on dinner?
I'm just
I'm always
thinking,
down for food. I don't know.
yeah, even after budgeting, perhaps that could be one of those topics brought up. I'm
Yeah,
sure
it's
we
a
need
really good idea.
money too, and even at the end, if we have leftover, it can go back to the general fund. You know, it's just something to think about. I don't know.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
thought.
no, I know we've done we did a grant for radios. Again, this is all before my time, but
Sure.
that's a really good idea to bring that up and see what kind of discounts we can get.
Does anybody have a question for Kyle? Anything else they want to? Quiet group tonight. All right, Kyle. I think we'll let you know if anything comes up further in our discussions, but I think it looks pretty straightforward right now.
All right. The only thing would be, which I don't. This is probably a different part of the meeting, but I don't know. I probably overlooked it. Although I think Nick told me that it's on the schedule. Are we still putting forward, or at least planning at this stage to put forward the reserve funds that we have been planning?
Right now, it's Catherine has it in there as the same as last year and the prior years, the last few years. So it's
All
the same amount. Yep.
So just on that note, real quick, like I was mentioning, U17 is getting older and it's costing more to repair. But I think on the schedule that is due 22, we were supposed to like go out to bid for it, and I think we're kind of behind that. So it'll probably be after 22, but yeah, because the reserve fund right now I think is shy. But
Yeah, I was just
if we keep
looking.
adding to that, that's good.
Yeah, I'm trying to find what it's at. I thought I saw it earlier because I know we don't have enough for a truck.
Yeah,
No,
I haven't done any, I usually do transfers in May for this
Yeah, after
current
this May,
budget,
we'll
so,
be just about halfway there.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, if
So
we're
that would be
budgeting
2
high,
more
I think
years
we're
out.
looking at like $500,000 for a pumper nowadays, even though it should be like 400. But yeah, so we would be close to just about halfway there.
Yeah, so you're at 186 today. That's the document Catherine sent us out today. And then 100,000 in May gets you 286. So I think the plan was if we keep socking away $100,000 a year, which is what I saw in the tentative budget, I think you could go out for a bid this year, receive the bid, put the down payment down next year, and then take receipt in 2023.
Right.
Yeah, and keep
December.
in mind the value of the sale of the 17 also, so.
That's true. Yeah. Because it is a pumper, we might be able to get more than we got for the rescue truck or the squad truck last time. But
Right.
That's something that you probably don't want to sell before the new truck is in.
no.
Right.
No.
So that's just something that whatever we get from it would put back into the reserve for the next purchase.
Right.
I've lost track. I mean, I got to say off the top of my head, at one point, and again, I think Kyle was a little bit before you, perhaps maybe a few years back.
Mhm.
I thought we were going down one piece of equipment. Did we?
We did.
do that? Did we?
We did that when we purchased 1.6.
That's what I thought. All right, we're
years
down
ago.
one now. Okay,
Yeah, we got rid of the old pumper and the rescue truck.
I've literally lost track now.
Yeah, that's right.
Off the top of my head, all the numbers. Okay.
The only other thing is maybe in the future, so like we could look at a combination pumper tanker that is, well, we have a pumper tanker now, but it's not like a Class A engine where you can put manpower and tools and everything on it. But a pumper tanker that's got enough room for people and equipment is like 3/4, I think, 750 you'd be looking at a minimum. It's very expensive to do that. But that could, if we combine a pumper and an engine and a tanker, that could reduce us down to even 3, but we need to make sure that we have enough seats to get people to the fire.
Okay,
Always borrow the senior bus.
That's right. Yeah. Just run out back.
why not? All right. If nobody has anything else for Kyle, I think Kyle, you should be all set.
Cool.
Looking for hands, so I wouldn't. see
Thanks.
it. All
Thanks,
right,
Kyle.
thank you. Have a good
Guys.
night. All right, Miss Patty, I think, if I recall, let me look at my list. You are next, as in summer/camp/office.
Right. Nothing about mine changed other than changing the salaries a little bit to modify for minimum wage going up.
Right. Okay. I think, anybody have any questions for Patty on that? I know that, we're still budgeting the same as we did for camp and such, not knowing yet what's gonna happen this summer. We just had
Correct.
a Conversation about that the other day. And the conversation was, we have to set a meeting to actually sit down with the camp director and Ginger, Hannah, and Patty, myself, and probably Catherine as well, and just to look at what we might have a plan for the summer. So we'd like to have a plan for the summer.
Yes, we would.
We would like to have that. So
Mm-hmm.
and we're planning to go forward if possible. I don't have any questions on those areas. Mine mostly come from Jeff. I have Jeff questions. Sorry, Jeff, but anybody else have anything for Patty's? Anything that you saw? I mean, it is consistent as from last year.
Can I ask, what's the plan, right? I remember like Joe was kind of saying this time last year, we had big plans for what we were going to do this summer. Are we thinking it's going to be a normal summer for camp and pool, or?
It might be modified. We don't know even about our limits yet.
Yeah. So just planning, I guess, not worst case, but most open case, what would it cost to run that?
Right,
And then if we don't, we just don't spend that.
right. Adrian would like to see camp going. She's a teacher like Carrie is, and she has seen that the kids have done well socially. They've kept their mask on. They're used to that. So it would be trying to figure out social distancing and the pool and stuff like that.
Okay,
Both for
thanks.
camp and for the public.
Yes,
Because I know the public missed the pool as well, so if we can figure out a way, and see how things get too by then. We don't generally open until what, July? Like, or end of June, something like that?
well, camp is the end of June, but usually the park will open Memorial Weekend.
The pool did too?
Nope, the pool is Father's Day weekend.
That's what I thought. I thought that was a later date. Okay.
Yeah, no, the Memorial Day weekend, that would be us trying to see if we're gonna have any pavilion rentals.
Right. And
Kids'
ac-
summer camps are open
yeah.
now.
sorry, John, go ahead.
We just got word that kids' summer camps are open so we can send our kids to summer camps. So I can imagine with vaccines rolling out coming up in July, it should be optimistic.
Yeah.
So that's a good mention about the pavilion. We haven't been renting out the community room either, right?
No,
And no idea, obviously wouldn't know when we would be able to do that. So has that been a hit on the revenue side? Do we really make that much money off those rentals?
Yeah, it's been a hit. Can't tell you offhand. Hold on. I could get the information for you next time, but it is a lower, it's a lower amount, so.
And usually we start in January booking for the, summer and things like that. Patty, Ginger and I had spoken, I don't know, so I guess maybe a couple months ago. And, are not taking reservations for a while. And then now we have people sending in some reservations, knowing that we're not sending money or anything, that we, kind of put them on I guess it's a list, if you will. And if we get to the point where we can reserve, the dates for them, we will. We actually have some cancellations from last year who had paid us, who said, keep the money, and they want to, reschedule they want their dates this year. So it's still on hold, everything with that.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm jumping ahead. I'm just curious how we've done for the year, right? We didn't spend a lot for summer camp, but we also heard we didn't get a lot of money in from the police department. We didn't take money in from reservations. So did that offset? Did we make out better? Did we make out worse? Kind of just curious how the year's gone.
Well, and some of the money, and I talked to you guys about this, I guess, I don't know, in the fall, maybe the summer, I can't remember when we talked about it. So because the camp hadn't been touched in so long and needed some major repairs, and Jean went down with me to inspect some of the things that we were concerned about. So not that it was a big money, but we used some of the summer funds from, just painting walls, or I should say building, it's our building funds, but, we
Yeah,
did.
yeah. No, I'm not specifically asking
Oh, yeah.
about that. I'm curious the whole overall picture.
Yeah, so maybe next
So I
time.
guess we never really asked, or I never really asked. Maybe nobody ever really asked how have we done this year?
Yeah.
I mean, property taxes didn't really change. I looked up the sales tax, that was down a little bit, but wasn't devastating, I don't think. But I'm
No,
just
it's been,
curious
it's not
overall.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first one went down pretty quick, but then the second two quarters weren't so bad. Or the following quarters, I should say.
And we're always so conservative about that anyways, that I think we should be all right. But I'm just curious how all those different things that might have changed this year because of everything going on, how it
Let's
ended
see.
up as a net.
Park and recreation charges that we usually bring in, the year before we brought in 11,000. Last year we brought in 0.
Wow.
The Brennell Pavilion, the Bozenkill Park. The year before we brought in 2440. Last year we were paying people back. There's a negative 1365 there. Let's see if there's anything else. Those two would be the ones that would be the park and recreation and the pavilion rentals. So
You still have to balance against the salaries that unfortunately didn't go out.
say that again.
You have to balance that loss against the salaries that unfortunately.
Right, exactly. So it's kind of a wash.
Well, that's
there.
what I'm trying
Like
to see
Carrie
is,
said,
what was it a wash, start to finish on everything, or I don't know, I'm just curious.
Yeah, then again, I could do a comparison on it, but I don't know what the DPW paid toward the repairs, like what Carrie was talking about. So the director the year before, the youth director, was paid like 30,000, or not just the director, but the staff was around 30,000. And of course they didn't have that this year, but I don't know what DPW paid for the repairs in the park. So,
Well, yeah, that's a good point, but those repairs would have had to been done at some point.
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, I'm just saying when you're comparing, you
Yeah.
probably have to look at that. That's all.
So maybe for the second workshop, we can at least get a better idea of where we are at.
Right.
Currently, where we are at with that. So maybe Jeff and Catherine, I can work on, you guys can talk and I
Right.
can come in and work on it with you, just so we have an idea.
Right.
Sorry, and again, I'm not trying to focus on this. I mean, like, did the savings from the park offset the loss of revenue from the police department and all the other stuff? I'm just curious overall how the
Right.
village is doing. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm being optimistic, not trying to jump into Jeff's area, but did water usage go up since everybody was home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Maybe
Not as
revenues
much as
helped
you
it?
would think.
Darn it. These people got to stop buying these like low flow toilets. I think that's what's killing us.
Yes.
Exactly.
They're ruining it. Well, Jeff, that is a good segue to you. So I know you gave us I sent it out to the board, I don't know, a few days, I don't even know, last Friday night or Sunday.
Okay.
Some of the changes he was showing you, talking about. So go ahead, Jeff. The floor is yours.
Where do you want to start? Right at the top?
Sure.
We've got Orsini Park. We were talking about putting the stamped concrete patio in, changing the layout of the sidewalks, taking the blacktop out and putting stamped concrete sidewalks in too. The only thing is this probably won't be on next year's budget because we have to get this done early on. So it's probably still going to be coming out of this year's budget.
Jeff, wasn't that gonna be our sidewalk money from last year, like, that we said we were gonna use for this?
Yeah, I think we had, I believe, I've got to look at my spreadsheet, but I think we normally have 9,000 in for sidewalks,
We do.
but we might use some of that for that storm work that we did on Lark and Maine.
Right, which was this part of the sidewalk, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that all got rode off onto our stormwater line or some of it came out of our sidewalk line.
Okay. Do you think you have stuff within your budget still to do that for this year?
If we can go into my street funds, we definitely do.
The street fund, meaning the Lark and Fairview one?
Yeah, for our street maintenance line, we have like 45,000 in that.
Except that we're supposed to pave those streets this year.
Yeah.
We're supposed to-
I'm already hearing
Yeah,
back talk from folks about the conditions after this winter.
yeah, well, and.
Fairview,
Lark's been in
Lincoln.
rough shape For a long time. That
Yeah,
was- That was like our next big one
Okay.
after sunset.
probably not the place we want to dip into.
Oh, gosh, there's a cat on me. Sorry.
Oh.
He wants,
So you're thinking this year for the sidewalk in Orsini Park?
well, that was the hope, to do it early, an early project with that, because we had planned
Yeah.
on that. That was one of the projects we were hoping for last year. If
Yeah,
you recall, but during,
do.
everyone being home, and Jeff, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but everyone being home during COVID, we had said at the time, the park was being utilized by the library for the groups outside, the spinning room for their classes, and it just didn't seem like the right time to do a project and say to people, you can't use the park anymore. I mean, we didn't have much at that time, and we didn't feel that that would be a good, just bad timing to do that to folks. So,
So, but Jeff,
And that was-
you're talking about doing it early under this budget? This budget's ended in March, right?
no, May 30th,
Oh,
or whatever, how many days are in May, yeah.
Yeah, our thought was to get in there as soon as possible when the weather broke so that we get our work done and then be able to free up that park.
Yeah. Frankly,
especially
I
summertime
think
with
it's
concerts
good.
in the park.
I'm
have
sorry.
it.
Go ahead.
I'm
John.
sorry, if we have summertime with concerts in the park, we get this freed up in spring, that can be completed by that point.
yeah,
Right.
I was just curious because you have to be careful about how early, because you don't want soft soils when you go in there.
No, actually, it'd be earlier yet so we could utilize the frost in the ground.
Yeah. I also, honestly, I was working on, we had budgeted for banners, and I had put it off this year, even though we had budgeted, because I was just gonna wait to see how we were doing. And I actually spoke with the banner gentleman today. However, if it's something like we've used that much money out of this sidewalks, like we have some in the sidewalk fund, but you use some for that Lark Street, sidewalk connection, I'd rather say, okay, we'll take it from banners. I don't want to take it from the roads because those roads really need to be done. That's just my opinion. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but banners can come another day.
We also had talked about work on Lincoln too. We've got to change a hydrant out on Lincoln and replace a bunch of culverts on driveways on Lincoln. And Lincoln was the other one that was due for repaving. But both of them are so high from the years of paving over them, we'd have to mill them down and then use some of that milling for base and take some away and then blacktop both of them. And the same for Lark. We haven't had any core done yet where they come in, drill cores out to see exactly what kind of base we're dealing with. But we could do that, but we run the chance of damaging our new roads with equipment if we're putting sidewalks on Lark.
Well, the sidewalks on, the streets definitely need to be done. And we talked about Lark and Fairview and connecting those because we put in for a grant for sidewalk money for Lark and Fairview. And we, right now it's not, haven't gotten it. We were we've been put through to a certain point in the, state budget. I don't know what they're gonna do right now with nominating process.
Yeah.
So that was, I know, you said we were gonna do the streets, I don't know, sidewalks were first, streets were second, is that what it was? Sidewalks were first?
Yeah, that's what we had talked about.
Right, so I did follow up with an email a couple weeks ago. I haven't heard anything back about where that stands. So that might be something we have to, I don't know, can the Lincoln culverts, go another year?
It's either that or we could do the Lincoln culverts now and the hydrant right away and plan on having Lincoln paved this year. And then actually work on the next 2 years on the sidewalks on Lark. And then have that paved.
When does the money get deposited for the streets, like your CHIPS money and stuff for this coming year? That's what we have left over now. So when do you get the next installment?
It'll be the next quarter, but I never put that into your letter. We've got 68,000 in our CHIPS Save New York and extreme weather recovery funds right now.
Okay,
So that would be well on our way to taking care of those 2 streets.
yeah. All right, so we'll see where we end up with that.
Yeah, that's why I said that we could go after our street maintenance line because we have this, granted we have to pay it first, but we have this in our account from DOT.
Right. All right,
And I live on Lincoln. I mean, Lincoln could probably, other than the patching in the spring, could probably go another year. Because that's a big job. That's probably even as involved, if not more involved than Lark. And then that would maybe let you do, to Jeff's point, do the sidewalks this year on Lark and Fairview, and then go at those roads next year, or even later this year. I don't know.
or even sidewalks and one road.
Right, yeah, something like that, and just take Lincoln maybe out of the kitty temporarily.
Yeah, that would work good for us is to, this summer, change that hydrant out on Lincoln. It's the hydrant that's at the Main Street end, on Lincoln. Do the culverts this year and then work on the sidewalk this year on Lark.
Mhm.
And you got to remember too that everybody's roads hit right now because of the weather. But actually, they just picked up a ton of blacktop and we're out patching holes today.
Do you think you'd have enough money if you did Lincoln culverts and hydrant and the Lark sidewalk? Would we have enough to do the Lark Road and not do Fairview until the following year?
Yeah, with 45,000 in our street maintenance, we'd have enough right now to pave Lark. But there again, we have to have it cored and see what we're actually talking about. Maybe it doesn't have to be milled.
Yeah, I just feel like that one's been in really rough shape. It's a very narrow road. I would like to see a sidewalk there. You've done the corner, like you started it nicely with the work you had to do last summer.
Yeah.
They've been waiting a couple of years now too, because we put them off another year, 2 years ago. So if that's possible, that would be good, I think.
Yeah, that was our plan this fall, was to carry on with that sidewalk this summer.
All right. Let's see what else we got here. So that would all be this budget we have and CHIPS money that we have.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then to get back to it, you're also looking to try to add about $3,000 to get at the Orsini sidewalks into this year's budget, a little out of norm, right?
With the Orsini sidewalks, yeah, that's from the sidewalk line. And depending on where it's at, because he said he might have taken from there for that beginning sidewalk and culvert area or whatever, the drainage area, Lark. Like I said, depending on what it's at, we could probably take some, like I said, I don't need to use the banner money. Although I'd love banners, but I put that off for right now. We'll see it, Jeff. We can look at that tomorrow. You can look at that and let me know.
Sure.
see what, how.
Oh,
it-
yeah, I think we probably we have to see how the whole budget shakes out between estimated income and hits and all of these ads and see where we are. We may just have to say, yeah, banners is not.
Well, this is not banners for the new budget. I'm talking about the current budget we're in. That money's not spent. I haven't spent the money.
You have to remember too, the senior program is, that's about a $20,000 saving with the senior program because they couldn't go on trips and they didn't have lunches, that kind of thing. So there's some savings in the senior line also.
You know, Catherine, if you could, I know it's gonna be tricky because we also have a board meeting in between and all that. But at some point, maybe, you know, after the board meeting, if like things like that, if we could get that all on one sheet, like a savings, what we've saved on senior plus the camp, just so we have an idea of how it is looking. I think what, you know, Nick's question is good now. I forgot about that. Honestly, I know we spoke about it, but right now in this context, I was forgetting. So that's good to hear.
Yeah,
So we have that also for this year, if that money, you know, might help with the public works stuff as well.
right.
Transfer things around.
Carrie, what I was suggesting is under the new budget, because of all that's going on and some of the needs that DPW needs, is maybe we don't have, we moved that $3,000 someplace else.
Oh, yeah, we could do that, because Jeff,
Yeah.
on one of his sheets, someplace, I read it, he said banners, I don't know what we're doing with banners. Honestly, if we had gotten them this year, we wouldn't need that $3,000 that's in the
Well,
budget.
right,
this year.
right.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, I don't want to forget about it, but maybe for a year we forget about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, something like that. Yep. That's totally fine.
And that makes it easy to justify pushing forward with Orsini Park upgrades.
Yeah, and I think that one, you know, that has needed is everything, you know, we have a lot of things that need some TLC right now, just because of age. And that needs to, you know, and that's just one of those things that I know he wanted to start early. All right, Jeff, what else do we have here that we need to go over?
I checked my lines, that work that we did last fall on Lark and Maine, got all wrote off in my stormwater line. So we still have 9,000 in the sidewalk line in this
Beautiful.
budget.
All right, good news. We have some good news. That's great.
Yep. So I figured, what'd I figure? 13,000 for Orsini, but there again, we don't know what the layout is yet. So it could be, we could come in less than that.
Yep.
And also whether we stamp all the sidewalks or not too.
Right.
So we have some flexibility there.
I know it's micromanaging, we're just trying to do budget, but what was the thought about the stamped concrete, just because it's nicer looking?
Yeah, we were gonna, we talked about making it look like Helderberg bluestone with dyed concrete and flagstone stamping.
That looked nice.
Yeah, the only problem is they don't, unless you do a really good job, they don't help as well as the regular concrete.
But if
What
they don't
about
want
sl-
through,
what about-
it looks fine.
What about slippage? That's better. Stamped concrete is better for, I mean, or is there a difference?
I don't know.
There's
You know what I
probably
mean?
not
Just
much
a
of
thought.
There's probably not much of a difference. The problem is if you use a snow blower or a plow, you're hitting the edges of the
Right.
bluestone. That's why they
But
get
we-
beat up. Plus, they don't like salt as well as sidewalk does.
These sidewalks wouldn't be clear in wintertime though.
That's true. They plow the outside ones of the park because those are the regular. But if we have a need to save money, and although that would be very nice, perhaps a standard sidewalk, which would also look beautiful when it's done and clean, might be something we do to save money as well. But you
Yep.
know, you'll figure as you get closer to that. I
Yeah,
believe
well, we can figure that.
help with that. Dean, designy guy.
I just hate to go through all the effort and find that.
Yeah.
They're not holding up.
Yeah. All right, so that, I'm glad we have the money in that account though, so that's something.
Okay, on to Schilling Park,
Sure.
the playground equipment. Were we
Right.
gonna try that this year?
I would like to. We put in for it for a couple of years. Just, I'm not sure how much everybody remembers, but Jeff had ordered what we had talked about last year, which was a basic, like a small swing set for Schilling. And we thought we had it all set, but then there were some discrepancies with the manufacturer, and it may have been COVID related because it all happened around that time. So we had to let it go, but the prices are higher. So that's just my commentary on that. So I mean, I would like to. I know the kids and families have asked for that. We had hoped to have it in last year.
You
So,
want a swing set further set back in the park, correct?
We had it, yeah, it was kind of gonna change where the play equipment is now, just change that shape a little and go off the end of that. And there was a
Okay.
spot there they were looking at. I don't know
All right.
exactly, but that is, again, to have a toddler swing and a kind of a, what's it called, a belt swing also.
yeah, so I was gonna suggest, like, if we can do it, that would be great, but if the prices are going crazy, maybe we wait, because everything that I've been seeing about, kids stuff to play with,
Mhm.
like, the prices are going through the roof, like, demand is so high.
Yep.
That it might be worth it to wait a year if the,
And it's
If
not, I
it's-
mean, it's not a priority, it'd be nice, but again, we
Yeah.
have to have that, I'd rather have sidewalks.
it's not worth paying
Well, that's
2x to get it this year, right?
Yeah. The prices now for everything are much different than they were a year ago, so, no, I agree.
But if
Jeff,
if
So
it's
we-
like 10% more, fine, but if it's like 2x or something, then I'd wait.
So would you want to keep just the $1,000 in that Schilling Park line?
why don't
Don't
you,
increase.
is that okay with you guys for now?
And wait another year and decide with the prices and if demand goes down, the prices be reciprocal to that.
Well, I
Okay.
guess it was a question. I mean, you guys said I don't know what the prices are. I'm just saying the
Yeah.
random stuff that my wife has tried to buy for the kids is ridiculously
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
So
It's, as you all know, as I deal with it, it's a supply issue of raw material. That's the issue with all of this stuff, particularly durable goods, is because it's costing a lot more to get them out of the ground or out of the woods or whatever. We're seeing huge increases in construction costs. We've got a hint from a steel manufacturer that he's looking for $23,000 extra over his bid price because of what's happened in the past 6 months. So that's what's really happening, and it just down even to residential durable goods.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying is it depends what the delta is. If it's 10% more, then yeah, let's see if we can do it. But if, like Dean's saying,
One of the things I would like to do, and then it can switch, actually, Jeff, if makes more sense, is we had 1,000 in Schilling. And originally, we were gonna put the adaptive swing there, and then that was one of the problems with what we were trying to buy from the manufacturer. It didn't fit on that height of a swing set for the toddler swing. I would
Yes.
still like to leave at least, I'd say the 1,000 and put it towards the Bosenkill, because it will go on the swing sets there. And I feel strongly that, we have adaptive equipment for the pool there. I'd like to have one adaptive swing at Bosenkill as well for children. It's not a big deal. We put it at our school as well. It goes right next to the belt swings. They're about $500. And there's some that are a little less, but that's the consistent cost.
Okay.
But if everyone would be okay with keeping the 1,000, I would still like to do that because that's an easy addition to the playground, and then we have it available in the village.
Just a follow-up question, is the other equipment in Schilling in reasonably good shape? Or are we starting to get to, we're gonna take a big hit on upgrading the play structures there in the short run?
No, that's all in good shape.
Kelly won't let me play on it anymore, so I don't know what conditions.
I was
can
out-
confirm it's in good shape.
The swings are good. I tested them last summer. They're good. Yeah. So if that's, I don't know if everybody's okay with that, but I still would like to get that purchased and put there.
I guess,
Yep, that's all.
well, maybe we come back to this one.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's somewhat of a consensus to hold the 1,000, but maybe when we shake the budget out, like we've been saying earlier, maybe we can look to do something this year, even if it is a ridiculous increase.
And possibly, Jeff, between now and maybe the 10th, maybe gather, if possible, some new pricing. I'll see what I can see, but the municipal playground equipment, just see where it's at right now in comparison.
Yep, I can do that.
You know, to Nick's point, if it's, we don't want to pay too much for something that in a year later, we don't have to pay that much for. But yeah, but if it, you know, like Dean said, if they're, we'll see where they're at right now. Maybe things have gotten better with all the supplies. I don't know.
Well, yeah, we don't know. I mean, like Nick says, if it's 10%, what's the big deal? If it's 25%, that's you'd have to question it. But how much is it really reasonably going to come down?
Yep.
In a year?
True. So we'll leave it at 1,000 and hope that maybe we can find out something that'll help us, you know, achieve the rest. All right, Jeff.
Okay.
You're going on.
And this is, Jeff, this is based on state contract numbers, or this is?
No. No, this is, I think it was some company down south, and then they never got back to us. We started everything, and I don't know if they went out of business or what, and we never pursued it.
Yeah, and then we
I don't
tried.
know if state
Tough.
I don't know if state contracts any cheaper or whatever either. But.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't-
I'm making a note, so maybe I can check that out. Swing set. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Jeff.
Onto the pool.
Sure.
I lowered, you see my notes there. I lowered the pool because that it was 6125. That reflects the repairs that we've been doing this past year in there.
Okay.
And the same with the miscellaneous parts too. So we should, after this year, we should be back to our normal money spent down there.
Okay.
Also in the park, you'll see that we got a price on doing those floors, epoxy coating them, and it came to around 11,000. We've only got one price so far, but I imagine it's pretty much in the ballpark. I don't know where you stand on that amount.
And that was something we were hoping, so with all the repairs they've done so far, it's still in progress down at the park building. There's, like I said, new sheetrock, new all that. The floors were in desperate need of being fixed. So all the rugs were taken out because they were done. And over the concrete, we were hoping to do the epoxy coating. If you've been to like the Altamont laundromat, that's the floor. They have it in there. It's a great, great floor covering, which seemed to really go well for the camp and people coming out of the pool, kids coming out of the pool. So this is, I think, Jeff, he's fairly local, right?
I don't know. We could never get back to that guy. This is like another guy.
Okay.
Larry found this guy, I think, by word of mouth through John Donato again.
Okay.
That's why we gotta keep looking for a couple other prices.
And we were hoping to do this with some of the savings as well from this current year, from the camp. And just do, it's all the rooms, that you walk into actually. So the kids.
Yeah.
Jeff, roughly what is that per square foot? Do you know?
$7.50.
Sign them
Comes
up.
out to 10,500, and we threw another 500 and make it 11 to cover mobilization fees, I think, because he's going to have to do it in 2 different trips because of all the things that are stored inside the building.
Does that include, again, I'm micromanaging, I'm sorry. Does that include shot blasting or some major prep in that number?
No, we did that. The worst floor was the main game room, and we did that probably 5 years ago. So that's in good shape. We tore up all the carpeting, and actually the floors are in good shape underneath it. There's one end of one hallway we have to take some tile out, which should be no big deal. And that's it. They said it's guaranteed for 20 plus years, and we can also do it in cold weather if need be, if we had to move on this right away, so we wouldn't interfere with park opening.
Well, if he's got that kind of guarantee and that price includes prep to get to that guarantee, that's a really good price.
Yeah, that's,
7,000 a square foot. That's a,
yeah, he came out 2 days ago, looked at it, and we've pretty much prepped it for him, so.
well, he's got to prep it in order to take the epoxy, so he doesn't have any, there's no oils or that sort of thing that'll screw the bonding up.
Yeah.
Assuming if he's going to give a 20-year guarantee, he's going to do that. That's part of what he's doing. So again, that's a good.
Yeah, we had already gone through about 5 years ago with a power planer and planed the concrete and got that all set. So it's in good shape.
Good.
All right. I guess with more to come on that, we can, I mean, are you guys okay with us using some of the savings? If we, you know, whether he gets another price, I mean, we had an original gentleman, which was similar, what we thought was gonna be the similar price. So I didn't know this was a different one till now, so. If Jeff can get down another price in comparison, was this something that you guys are okay with doing before camp starts?
I think good that we're finding some places to put savings into the budget because we know we need monies in elsewhere, and particularly when we get to salaries. So
Yep.
it makes sense to try to anticipate doing that.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, what else you got? We keep saying that.
Now we're into G-line sewer.
Okay,
I increased the Brando Meadows lift station by $500. We took a hit on that. We had a control failure. We had a company come out that services all our equipment, and that one call was over $500. So I increased that line to $1,000.
okay,
My equipment repair line was $3,000. We increased it to $6,000 because we're seeing some of our equipment at the new plant aging out. We had to replace a CPU or what was it? A grit separator compressor and some parts for that. Just that alone came to like $2,800. So I figured we better get extra money in that line. On testing, we had 2,500. DEC is calling for more testing, so I put another 500 in that line. Then we're into our sodium bisulfite line. Was 5,000, increased it to 9. You can see by what I tried to explain, we're using chlorine for disinfectant on our effluent leaving the plant. Our old plant was a constant flow with our clarifier system that we had. There was always water flowing through it. It was a constant rate, and we could chlorinate it and set our sodium bisulfite to compensate for the chlorine, to remove the chlorine before it went out in the creek. But with this new plant, it releases in batches and at different times of the day, so we can't regulate our sodium bisulfite right in order to remove the chlorine unless we over inject it. So now we have the problem of using too much sodium bisulfite, and the state eventually is going to come after us for putting too much sodium bisulfite in the creek. So they recommended that we should go to a UV system, remove the chlorine and the sodium bisulfite completely, which would also help us because right now for the chlorine to interact with our effluent leaving the plant, it has to be held in our plant for a set amount of time for the chlorine to act. So it sits in this, it used to be the old original clarifier from the 1930s. They converted it to a contact tank to hold this water, and now the tank is just rotten and falling in on itself. So we're going to have to look at either major repair or replacement on that, and then we're still back in the same boat with chemicals, where a UV system would alleviate both problems. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things that we wanted to contact a engineering firm other than who we've been dealing with lately and see if they can come up with some prices and ideas for us.
Yeah, I was just gonna, do we have a reserve, an equipment reserve line that could start to feed going to a UV system? Or is that something we're gonna really have to try to budget for long term?
That's up to Catherine.
Well, we have an
Catherine-
equipment line that we have designated for, you know, the trucks and bulldozers and skid steers, that kind of thing. I don't know, you know, Jeff, do you have any idea how much we're talking about?
No, I have no idea. I imagine it would be quite a bit.
Well,
Yeah, so
I
you've got
mean,
the
is it
cost.
50,000? Is it 20,000? I have no idea.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's 100,000.
100,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not
I
something
bet
that's
you it
gonna
is.
it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but we've got to start getting things in gear here to figure out what we're looking at.
Jeff, is it
But-
leaking? Is it leaking?
No, it's actually falling in on itself. They're constantly taking pieces of concrete out of the tank.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, I mean, it's something that sounds like, you know, when we did the plan, we had to take a bond out on it, but that's what I was asking for is, you know, how much do we have to really start planning out for something like that, counteracted by the fact you're going to completely eliminate your costs for those two chemicals.
Yeah.
At least,
Well, I think too, if you recall, and not everybody that's on the board now was there when we did the sewage treatment plant upgrade. But the engineers had it planned out that once the water wells were paid off, which is going to be another 5 years, that at that time we could lower the water rates and increase the sewer rates to
Offset.
take care of these holding tanks. And the
Mhm.
estimate at that time was like $270,000 for this holding tank repair. So if you're not going to replace the holding tank, you know, the UV system would be less than a holding tank system, but I don't know. The things that have to be looked into, and that might be too far out too. I don't know, Jeff. I don't know if we can go another 5 years. So that's something
And-
that probably has to be looked
I mean,
at.
if it's falling in on itself, are you talking like Jeff, like 6 months? Are you talking a year? Are we talking weeks?
No, we're talking at least a couple of years out.
Okay.
That's why I wanted to get in touch with an engineering firm and see what our options are to begin with before we start anything.
Right.
so in the interim, can we back charge Barton and LaJudas the $4,000 you're looking? available?
Yeah.
I'm in favor.
No, actually, when we were laying this out with B&L, we discussed that, and they didn't want to get into that end of it. That was like the final stage because it would be too much for the village to handle at the time.
Oh. So this was somewhat known compared to the increased handling charges or whatever we didn't really anticipate.
Right.
Yeah, it's just that I don't think B&L really anticipated the actual workings where the effluent is leaving in batches at different times, and we've got no way to actually control it to match
That's what I
it.
mean. Well, this is not the first thing that didn't mesh with this home system. I was just kind of kidding. I'm being facetious. But if I remember a few years ago, you realized that you're spending a great deal more money yearly for, I forget what it was. It was the
Sludge, wasn't it? Sludge
Yeah.
removal?
Sludge, yeah.
so.
Yeah, we're still saving. We're still saving money on our sludge removal as compared to the clarifier system, but B&L had estimated a lot bigger savings than what actually transpired.
That's what it was. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Hey, you guys, I'm so lost now. What line are we actually on? G what? Because we were on, now I don't know where we are.
G470.
We're on Jeff's handout that he emailed.
830.
Oh, that's
Bottom of
why.
the bottom of the first page, yeah.
We just
Yeah, okay.
Talked about that. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's what you're
I was
good.
late. My fault.
Jeff, do you want to, are you looking at water now?
No,
More of
I
that?
increased the testing under our sewer for 502 for lab work.
Mhm.
Did I cover that one?
No, but you just did, I guess.
Yeah,
Alright.
that, our lab work, both water and sewer has gone up, so I had to increase 500 on that one.
Okay,
And we just covered the sodium bisulfite.
yep,
So we're into water now.
okay,
Let's see, the contractual expense was 4,500, increased it to 7,500. Because of uniform charges for a quarter and our railroad crossing permits, training membership, and our tank inspections, all came out of that line. They totaled 7,000 this past year.
oh, wow,
Sometimes our railroad permitting expenses cross years, but I think we're going to be charged again this coming year, just the way it lays out. That's it on that line. Any questions on that one?
I don't think so from me. Anybody else? No, I
Okay.
think you're good for now.
And on both well sites, I increased testing by 2,000 on each site. We have to test for PFOA and PFOS and 1 and 4. That's a misspell. It's supposed to be dioxon, not dioxide. Every quarter for at least a year, and hopefully we don't get any hits, and then it's put off to like every 4 years, they think. Either 3 or 4 years, they're not set yet. And each well is going to cost us $2,000 a year for these samples. And that's everywhere. That's every municipal water site in New York State. So that explains that one. Small increase on our ortho injection each site just because of the cost of chemicals, increased them by 500. On repairs and parts, the 420 line, we started out, usually we run 7,000 in that. This year ran way over because that water line replacement on Fairview got taken out of that line. That came to, I think the total expense for that project, which surprised me, I thought it was pretty good. We spent about 14,000 on that. And by doing it in-house, we saved a bundle of money. So that worked out good. And same thing with the Department of Health sampling. I increased that 1,000 because of the lab work and the extra sampling we're going to have to do. I think that's it.
So a lot of good news, bad news situations there.
Yeah,
Well,
mostly bad.
yeah, but this doesn't surprise me globally because he's always tried to be very frugal and,
Mhm.
Cover things out of other line items for many, many years. So eventually we knew we were going to have to catch up with some things. So
Nope. Anybody have questions for Jeff on any of the lines? Doesn't look like it. I'm not sure, Nick, you can tell me what you're thinking on this, but I know we've talked about, well, actually, maybe this goes to Catherine too, talking about funds and things like that and how healthy they are and things like that. Did you want to talk about the sewer stuff now that you sent us?
We could, I guess, maybe before that. So we've covered all the budget, right? We haven't,
Well, yeah, the proposal, sure. Yep.
we haven't made any big changes to what was in that proposal, right?
Right.
So,
Well, I did make one, which I sent to you all, which I can go on in a minute if you want, but I don't know what you're thinking.
Oh, no, I just wanted to, what I like to do is to look at it from a really high level. And so if we went to the bottom, I don't know what page it's on of, I guess it's page 11
Which
of the
fund are
proposed,
you,
of like the general fund, right?
General.
Like I'm curious, where did we end up compared to previous years? And it looks actually so far that again, the way it is now, before whatever changes you have here, the proposed budget is 1.173 million compared to 1.226. Am I reading that right?
Where are you now?
Total revenue. Oh,
Oh.
that's total revenues. I'm sorry.
Right, no,
No,
if you're looking at, on the last page, on page 3 of the revenues and expenditures, you could see the, like the year before,
All
our
right, what
revenues
page?
were 1,000,002, and we actually spent, let's see, 1,000,017.
So total.
This is general fund now.
Okay, yeah. So all right, so this is markedly different. So all right, I'm on page 8. Is that the right place to look at for total expenses?
Yeah,
Total
but then it
appropriations?
breaks down, hold on. Hold on. Yeah, on page 8, it shows you the total expenses, and then, but then on the last page of the revenue page, it shows you how much revenue came in, then how much expenses, and you actually had a savings of like 55,000. That was 2019 and 20. This is the general fund now. So in other words, you didn't use any of your fund balance. You actually had more revenue come in than what went out. So
Okay, but
that's what
back
you want to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I guess going back to page 8, so this budget, and maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to see where, went from 1.1 million, 1.17, sorry for the dogs barking, in 1920 to 1.5.
Well, that's because we put money in there for the, oh gosh, the firehouse improvement and for the Krauts house.
But those have been in there for years and years.
Right, but if you don't use it, you don't spend it. So that's why you're putting it in there to use it if you need it, but if.
Oh, okay. So I'm comparing actual expenditures to proposed budget, not
right,
what we
estimate,
budgeted
yep.
in 1920. Okay, I guess that's what I'm trying to get at, though, is did we? Is this a lot more than we normally have in the budget? Is it a lot less? I'd assume if everybody said they didn't really change much, so we should
It
be
didn't
in the
change
ballpark,
much,
right?
but then again, you've still got those outstanding projects that are, once you get rid of those, your budget will actually go down because.
Yeah, so
You won't
that's
have
what I
the
was.
firehouse and the.
That's what I was thinking too, is that, some of those things, hopefully we might even be able to get done this year, knock on
Right.
wood.
Right.
If anything ever goes our way. So then that's even less that we would need to use. So, I guess, at the end of the budget, that's what we try to look at, right? Like, what does it look like? What's the delta between the revenue and the expenditures or the appropriations? Do we cover that by the fund balance? Do we need to raise taxes? That's usually the last thing that we do. I guess maybe it's too early to do that.
Yeah, let's break down a few more things before. I also want to add, we've got a couple of increases. The police retirement is going to be up 6,000 next year, they're estimating, and the regular retirement's going to be up. I upped it on 2,000 in each account to reflect the fact that it's going up next year. So.
Okay.
Is that reflected in this? Is that already reflected in this trial budget though?
Let me look at the figure because I came in late. Hold on. The state retirement, this is page 7, should be 26.5, not 24.3. The police retirement should be 36,986, not 30,960. So, and then in the other two funds, the water and the sewer, each of the New York State retirement should go up 22,000 or 2,300, something like that.
So this proposed budget on page 3, the general fund, or at least well, some of that may not be in the general fund, but, so it's light. This 1.173,488 is light
Right.
already.
Well, that's actual, what you
No.
actually spent, so.
No, the proposed budget on the page 3 or page 11 of the document, the proposed 21-22 is 1.173,488. That's already.
Again, that's revenues, Dean.
That's revenues, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I made the
That's
same
revenues?
mistake. Sorry.
Oh.
Right.
That's why you gotta
So I
go back.
Page 8. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
have
you
to
go back to page 8.
Page 8 and,
But the 1.503 is light.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So sorry, Carrie, I know that really wasn't your question. I was just trying to wrap my head around the whole thing.
No, I mean, we have a few things that we're looking at, again, maybe that's more about revenues as well, expenditures and revenues. Let me just backtrack because we mentioned what's reflective in this budget. So Catherine also reflected in the current draft, so a couple of changes, salary changes across all 3 funds though, for DPW and then of course general fund for van drivers. I think I had written you why, I was looking at trying to, we've come in here, I could say in the 16 years Dean and I have been here, things we don't look at sometimes are starting salaries for these positions. And when we recently tried to do a recruitment for a position, it's really hard to get people for Department of Public Works, especially where it's, that's quite the job. You have to have a lot of skills and it's a hard job. And, when you're only hiring $16 an hour, we're looking to raise that up a little bit and then consequently take some of those positions and make adjustments where we normally, don't have like a group, that negotiates with us and doing that, but trying to keep everybody competitive with surrounding areas. So, the costs on those adjustments that I sent you were, let me just do it in my head really quick, I'd say approximately about $14,000 of that was an increase. Now that's not something that we're doing. That's just something that was incorporated for us to look at those numbers and see, how you felt about that. I sent you a breakdown of, where that was, coming from where we were and where we wanted to go. But like the van drivers, especially, we have a great, crew of 3 that alternate, but that's a really hard job to hire for. And we were only hiring and we had somebody at just minimum wage right now. It's like we need flexible people, retired people willing to drop, and take somebody in the van someplace. So I was trying to be appreciative of the people who are here and keep them with us. Retention was a big goal of mine, making sure that we look to the future and, make sure these positions are things that will be filled now or stay filled now and will be filled in the future if need be. So that is incorporated. That may be something we want to, at some point, look at, when it balances, if take something, change it, whatever you think. But
So that proposed is not in this trial bubble budget.
it is.
It is. Oh,
It
it is
is.
reflected in it.
Yep.
So that's in there, but the ones that Catherine was talking about, the retirement contributions would still need to get added in there.
Those
Right.
added in.
Sure.
Which
I mean,
Plus, does this also have a percentage, a COLA in for the other,
It
like
doesn't,
Jeff and Nick?
Yeah.
Does this
Not-
already have-
no,
It doesn't have a COLA in it for those folks? Okay.
no.
is the percent still about the same? I mean, it used to be a textbook, I'm sure it changes a little bit, about every percent was what, $6,000?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, I could, I'll double check for next time, but it's, yeah.
Well, it'll be less than that because some of these folks, if we go with the proposal,
Right.
COLA this year.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, Carrie, I'm okay with the things that you put in there. One question I had was, this probably sounds terrible, what is minimum wage these days that we had to up our camp people, right?
Patty, $12.50?
$12.50.
It's going to 15 or 15.25, isn't it?
Well, we're only
Eventually.
at $12.50 right now.
Eventually to 15.
Isn't that this year, though?
No,
What isn't this year? Oh, I thought
Mm-mm.
this year.
It's different for New York City and
Correct.
those counties.
Oh,
Around
okay.
here.
All right.
Around here.
That may be where I read it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you were saying is you had somebody that was, at minimum wage. I see it now.
Right,
Okay.
currently, yeah, and again, and no, none of them are asking for this. It's just something that as we try to fill some positions and we look at that and look at the future, knowing it's probably gonna go up, but would like to keep the folks that we have because they've been with us and I want them to want to stay here. They don't do it for the money, obviously, but they, these are jobs that are very important and responsible for this village to have. We need people in them that are good quality people, and we need to.
I support it.
Yeah, I agree with you and Nick. I don't see an issue with
I'm good with it.
looking to do this. It's already built into this budget.
Were there other things you wanted to talk about within salaries? Did you want to wait on do that? Do you want me to do the sewer fund? It really wasn't much to.
Well, I think now normally I didn't even think to look it up today. I'm not sure what the cost of living is right this point in time. I haven't looked at that today, but Catherine, don't we usually for the second round ask you to figure in a certain amount? Do you guys want to look at what a 1% would look like and work it in? So we have to give her a starting off point.
Right.
Usually,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
it may be less than normal this year, but we
Yeah.
usually 2%.
We usually do, but I'm just saying, do you want to work in 1% and then we know that about $6,000 more next time, we could see how the numbers look at one, or we could do it the same way, work in two. And then and see how that looks and how it works, balances out, and then go backwards. It's up, I don't have a preference.
I'll make the motion for 2, and then we can either go up a percent or down a percent.
So
Yeah,
Catherine,
I agree with the 2. I second
Okay.
the thought.
Yeah, I agree with the 2 also.
Yeah, run it as
Catherine,
2.
Yep, sounds good.
we'll work in 2%.
Yep.
But again,
Now that doesn't include the ones that you're looking to,
It does
you want
not.
me to do
Right.
the ones that you're looking to recommend, the raises you want to,
On the document I sent, I don't
The
know,
proposal part, right, Carrie?
the what?
The proposal part on the bottom.
Proposal part, it's written out on, I think, what I sent you. So
yeah, that's what,
just, I would say, yeah, cost of living, well, it's for everyone with the exception of the salary adjusted folks
right, okay.
right.
Sounds good.
for this year.
Okay. All righty.
All right.
Yep.
Did you want to talk, Nick, about the sewer funds and things like that while we're here?
Yes. So one of the things that Catherine, I guess, brought our attention to last year was the sewer fund. And Catherine, Carrie, and I met a couple weeks ago and tried to understand, I guess, what was going on. I asked for a bunch of data because that's just the kind of thing I like doing. And I was hoping to try to understand, I guess, what the issue was, where it was coming from. So that, and we this came up at our last board meeting when we talked, or somewhere we were talking about, do we need to adjust rates? And I wanted to be a little cautious about that to understand if what the problem was a unique one-time issue or if it was a systemic problem, and that would kind of, I guess, guide or recommend to me which way to tackle the problem. And so I was hoping by diving deeper into the data from the sewer fund, it would help me come up with an answer. I can't say it does, but I did find some things out and have more questions, which is usually how it goes. I don't know if you guys have my slides, or do you want me to? I think I can project slides, right?
You can share. You can share your screen.
We'll go 21st.
I don't
century.
have
Yes.
that.
Please share, Nick, because I'm gonna have to dig to find it.
That's fine. We'll go 21st century here.
All right.
All right. I feel like I'm at work again. All right.
This-
So
Was this sent out? I haven't seen this.
yeah, I emailed it out late today, I think.
Oh,
Anybody else get it?
I got it. Yeah.
Okay, so I did. So real quick, I just looked at the revenue versus expenses and plotted that by year. And I think this starts to pick out the two issues that I noticed. One, revenue is going down pretty consistently for the past 6 years. It's like I said, I think people are buying too many low flow toilets and low flow shower heads or something. Or, you know, again, that's a question. Why is revenue going down as we're adding more users? And I don't know if Jeff has any ideas why revenue would be going down from sewer, and I assume water, because right, sewer is based on water usage.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
So any thoughts?
Well, the Peter Young Center closed. That's one thing.
That should be a one-time thing though, right?
What did that didn't affect the sewer though, did it? Did it, Jeff? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on.
Oh, yeah.
They,
But they didn't slowly close over the course of 6 years, right?
yeah. No, I don't know why. It's just the people who are using less water.
Environmentalists, I don't know. Okay.
Well, remind me, isn't there, we pay straight, I don't pay it, so I never look at it. Do we pay straight gallonage, or is there a minimum and then an overage per gallon?
That's
well,
how
there's
it
a
works
minimum
for
with
water.
and the sewer is based on that.
So we are paying straight gallonage per
No,
household?
no.
Yeah.
If it's
Is it-
less than 10,000 gallons, it's half rate. If in village, if it's more, then it's 103. If it's less they did that because of seniors and that kind of thing, it drops to 50. Was it 52 or whatever for someone less than 10,000 gallons? So, which
So
is
that-
pretty
So you
low.
So you gotta
But
be
maybe
careful.
we have a lot more seniors now. Than we
I was going
used
to
to.
say that's a good question, Dean. And I don't know if Catherine or Patty, if you could find, I don't necessarily know if I want every water bill for every user for every year for the past 6 years. I'm not that interested in data, but could you find out, has the number of people that got the minimum usage, has that changed, right? Have we started to see more and more people hit the minimum?
Yeah, could be.
Is that something that you could easily pull out, Patty, or no?
No,
All right.
no, I have an Excel spreadsheet about the billing that probably goes back, I don't know, 10, 15 years maybe. But that
All
is the overall billing every 6 months.
Now, you know what? If you don't mind, you want to send it to me, and maybe if I
Sure.
get bored this weekend,
Yeah,
Yep.
I can
I
sort
threw
of.
that out there because that would be one way of seeing why this continually goes down.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's a good question. I'd like to be able to test that if that's what it is.
And
I
just so you know, our process, every 6 months when we put in the meters, it usually will flag if something is low or higher than their average over 4 billings. And even if it doesn't, if we see something and it hasn't flagged it, we will print it out. The guys will go back out and reread. Then they'll come back with whether there was a leak or the house was vacant or whatever.
I know that because my first season, Larry knocked on my door and said,
Yeah.
"Hey, your usage was really high.
He's our guy. Yep.
Do you have a water-driven sump pump?" And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, nuts."
Yeah, and then Larry and I go through the consumption report before the billing, and we'll go line by line, and he'll go back out and he'll go to a few residents even then. So I don't know, we're very diligent about reviewing.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not doubting it. I'm
No,
trying to
I'm
see if
just
there's an
saying it's a whole process. Yeah, we were surprised too with what's going on, but Larry was saying the same thing with the shower heads changing and the toilets and
Yeah, I'm joking, but that it might be as
Dishwashers.
simple as that. Yeah.
Well, smaller families, not as many kids at home. I don't know. And then when we thought the senior housing, we figured we would get more from that than we actually did. Because a lot of people went south, they go south in the wintertime and their consumption is really low. So,
Yep.
I don't know if we figured that in at the time that the sewage treatment plant upgrade was done and Brandel Meadows came on at that time. I think we kind of estimated more than what we thought we were going to get from there.
and
And then-
Brando Meadows usually comes in at like half rate. They
Right.
don't use much water over there.
Yeah. Well, again, that would explain why maybe your projections one time were wrong, but something's definitely changing, and it might be
Yep.
as simple as appliances. I'd like to test it, like Dean
Mhm.
mentioned. If not, it doesn't seem like there's anything we can do, right? It's not like we're inaccurate, like you were just saying, Patty. So
Right.
it's real, and it might just be what's
Right.
going on. I don't know if
Altamont Fair
worth-
wasn't open. The fair used to use a lot. The fair actually had a lot of activities over there. We haven't had, the fair hasn't been putting on events, that kind of thing.
Again, that wouldn't even show up in this year yet, right? Because this is fiscal year 2020.
Well,
Well,
no,
it
she's talking about because they used to have a lot more concerts and things like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
they used to
okay.
have
So in
the-
years past, that really has slowed down now.
So we could
Good
look at
asset,
that too.
too.
We could look at that account to see if that's a big
Yep,
effect.
okay.
Plus they've actually done some upgrades to their systems over there too, so they maybe
Yeah. So that's
some
a
of the
good.
losses.
I mean, I guess my point is, there's not much we can do. It is what it is. It'd be good to know why it's happening. But my point would be, if revenues are going down, then it might not be unjustified to consider adjusting the rates.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be necessary. You're gonna have to really.
Yeah.
I was
So-
hoping we'd get through till the water wells were paid, but I don't think we're gonna get there without
Yeah,
some
so
kind of.
that was one observation, right? The other observation is this gray line, which is a little all over the place, and it's a little misleading because if you look at 2014 versus 2020, it went up a little bit. I think it was like 6%, but something more majors happened between 2017 and 2020, and that's what started to kind of irk my eye because,
Yeah.
2014, your revenues expenses are almost spot on. Great, that's perfect. By the time you get to 2020, I think maybe this is what is starting to cause alarm,
Right.
Catherine, that
Yeah,
our expenses are going up and our revenue, all things considered, is going down. So that's what I
Right.
tried to understand a little bit better. This might be remarkably obvious to you, Jeff, but for me, it was enlightening to go and dig a little bit deeper. So I looked at all the sewer fund categories to try to see which ones are jumping out. Again, this one up here, which is the sewer treatment contractual expenses line, it, has that trend. That's the highest number. So that's the one that was interesting to me. So I had Catherine help me get more details in that. And again, there were two pretty large expenses that went up, right? One was sludge removal, which is the one Dean complains about every month. And then
Dean's
equipment
favorite.
repairs, Dean's favorite.
Yep.
So my last thing, and then I'll open it up, is, this is fiscal year 2020. So this is the one that ended last year. So I don't know what 2021 looks like. And so I guess my question out to you, Jeff, is, was this a blip? Or is this what you've been mentioning before, that it's more stuff that's getting old, more stuff that's breaking, and we should start planning this as our new normal, in which case that really reinforces the need for adjustment. I don't know if
Jeff,
you have any
I think
sense.
I might have muted you. Are you there?
You may have jumped off.
Well, I hit a button. I don't know.
Somebody's not muted.
Somebody's muted with the phone number. I wasn't sure whose number this is.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
I had to change because my phone died, Carrie, so
No, that's okay.
stuff got messed
I
up.
think I muted Jeff by accident. I was trying to push this little button here.
Well, as soon as you muted him, my computer's making a weird noise, so
I don't know.
He's probably
There-
trying to get back on.
it's gone now.
Well,
Might be that.
he can't unmute himself if he's on the phone.
Right.
Oh, well, but it says, well, now there's no one here, so maybe he'll call back in.
No, 369 is still on.
It is.
Mhm.
I can't see it with the sharing, so,
I'll
all
fix
right,
that.
wait, 369, oh, wait, there we go. Hold on. So,
It
Jeff,
does show that he's muted.
yeah, but it says ask to unmute, so maybe I can do it. Let's see. I can't. Jeff, you might need to call us back.
Harry broke it.
I broke it. I was trying to hit the arrow, not that number. There's no unmute.
Oh,
Everybody.
there we go.
There he is.
Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry about that.
I broke you. Sorry. I was
No,
trying.
back to Nick's question. I think that's going to be the norm because, like we said, the equipment's aging out already at that plant.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the only other question was, what did 2021 look like? And that's kind of what I was asking about the general fund too, but was this a particular, I know you had a couple, main breaks, right? That we had to deal with.
Yeah.
Were there other big equipment things that had to get fixed this year?
There
something
was.
in there.
I can dig that out tomorrow and email it to you.
You had some big expenses down at the Brendel Meadow well, didn't you, this year?
That would have been water.
It's underwater, so, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't mind sending me,
No.
I'm curious, but I guess the takeaway is our revenue's down, our expenses are up, and yeah, maybe we got to do something.
So
I
again,
know, I think part of that was I think this past year we changed out one lift station control, and the year before we changed another lift station control. They were pretty expensive, but yeah, I'll go through and get it to you, Nick.
Cool, thank you. But
Well,
I don't know, yeah,
I think,
that's,
again, high level, like Nick was saying, to look at those charts, if this is the trend, we have to look at how over time to get back in fees, $100,000, not all in 1 year, but how do we get $100,000 back into fees over a period of time?
yeah, I guess one last thing I would add, I didn't include this chart, but I also was keeping an eye on what the fund balance was. And I think the fund balance, and Catherine, correct me if I'm wrong, is pretty healthy. It's not like we're at
Not the
risk
sewer
of,
fund, not the sewer fund.
I thought we still had like $400,000 in it.
No, not the sewer fund. That's the general fund.
yeah. Sewer's at like 68.
Yeah, yeah.
But when we talked about this last year, wasn't it decided, or didn't we say we're just gonna hold off, and it was really close last year? Catherine, weren't we having?
Yeah,
this
we borrowed
exact
money
same
from the,
talk?
yeah, we borrowed money from the general fund
Yeah.
to balance the sewer fund. And actually, I was talking to the controller's office today. They were looking at our annual report from last year and was asking about the sewer fund. So I think it's something we really have to look at.
So the data that you gave me, oh, it was actual paper. The paper that you sent me had a line that I thought said fund balance.
I'd have to look at it. I don't know. What do you mean? I think that, are you talking about the estimated budget or the annual
No.
report?
You gave the thick pile of papers that you mailed to my house.
The annual report?
Yes, it was the annual report, annual update document for the fiscal
Right.
year ending.
Right.
There's the second page for under sewer for those G914 and G915 is, oh, okay.
Yeah, there's money in the reserve there, like 150,000, but that has to, that's like, I think I've told you every year I take, since the sewage treatment plant upgrade has been going, I take 25,000 out of that every year to put into the sewer line to help pay for the principal and interest of the bond. That's what was planned at the beginning when the sewage treatment plant was upgraded. And
Okay.
so that reserve is like, it's coming down every year, but it's, what we were trying to do is get to when the water fund wells were paid off. And then you'd be able to not hit the residents so hard. So.
Okay, so I think what I was maybe doing wrong is I was looking at a line called fund balance, which must be the combination of revenues, expenses, and what's unappropriated. Because when I look at unappropriated fund balance, which is probably the more important line, that was like 80,000 in 2015. And
Right.
in 2020 is down to 50. So I see what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
And
I have
then
a
we
question.
borrowed money from the general fund of 70,000 that we put, that's in part of that because we were that low. We had, at the end of last year, we borrowed 70,000 from the general fund,
Okay.
which the board can write that off, but at this point, I can't get that paid back into the general fund. So we have, of course, see, the problem with this whole system, and I wish we'd thought about it at the time, we were making up the payments for, every year, but the bill in May for sewer, so that we don't even know until the end of the year what the building is gonna, we send out the bills the 1st of April for the water and sewer rents. And so you don't get that money in until May, or even know what it's gonna be until you are at April 1st for the second billing for sewer. It's a little bit tricky to know where you stand. That's why it's been kind of tough the last few years. It's been going down, but you don't know it until after your budget season is over. That they find out that the revenues are going down a little bit more than you expected. So
Jeff, you're still on, right?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Is there a chance, and forgive me if I'm missing out, I know we're talking about how parts of the system are failing due to age and whatnot. Is there a chance that there'd be a quote unquote like bigger failure at one time that, yes, we know it's going to take us, we got about 2 years left, but is there a chance that we could have an unforeseen expenditure with something failing? Are we close to something like that happening? Or are we sure? I'm trying to figure out if we're going to have to pull money from someplace, let's say a year from now, because we had thought maybe it'll be 2 or more, but it's failed.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
We wouldn't have a failure that major down there.
Okay. Just a
Yeah,
question.
I remember when I first started, Jeff, you showed me around, and I remember it was the same time Troy had like a 24-inch water main that broke, and it killed water service for like Saratoga County and Troy and East Greenbush. And I was like, could that happen here?
Yeah.
So
Actually, it's happened a couple times here.
but not to the scales of what I mean. Like you can't use a 24-inch main.
2 years ago, we had a 8-inch line break, and it was out in the woods towards Armstrong Circle. It took us a day and a half to find, and the village was probably within 4 hours of completely running out of water. So we've been pretty close.
Yep.
now keep in mind for the water fund too, though, this is a plus. Is the tower is bringing in around 18,000 more into the water line, and where they are foresting up there, so we should be getting some revenue in from the trees, and you might actually be able to put that into the sewer fund if the board decides. That's something that the board makes a decision on. So I know the last time they did it was about a $60,000 revenue, but I don't know. I don't know if it would happen again this time, but we could only hope.
Yeah, well, but that was my point of doing this deep dive, is that 60 grand could be useful, but that's not going to fix the problem. Like this is a multi-year trend problem. So
Right.
one-time logging fund's not going to.
Well,
dig
it'll
us out
get
of
you
it.
that much closer to that 100,000 that's going to be paid off for the water fund in 5 more years. So I mean that's
Sure. Yep.
that will
that's
help.
fair. Yes, not
It'll be an
no
end all
argument
be
there.
all, but it'll help. So.
Yeah.
But I still think you're going to have to raise rates. So,
That's kind of where I was settling is, I know the entire time I've been here every year, Jeff seems to figure out a way to get by, but it just seems like it's a structural problem that we got to do something different. So I don't know how we go about
And that's
that.
why I was saying, how do we start to address equitably over time in fee structure? We can't obviously find $100,000 in fee structure for 1 year to catch up, nor that we need to do that. But to everybody's point, I think we need to eventually do that to get back to where we're at 2014.
right.
And another thing, just putting it out there, and I think I've had this conversation, I know I've had it with Jeff, and I think maybe Nick, it was you, it's been a while, but we do, like with the water fund, some of that water is, earmarked for the dam up on the hill. And, we're getting to the point where I talked to Jeff about, we need to move forward on what we're going to do with that, because again, we have so much money, we have ideas what it could cost, or where we could, do some of it ourselves and not cost so much. We need to look at that again and possibly take care of it, because there might be money there that we have, that we keep putting it away for that kind of thing. And yet we haven't done it yet. So something to, get some of these projects done, is that so that we're saving for that next big thing that Michelle's talking about. And, because we're saving and savings, they're high priced items, but I think we're at a point with maybe the water fund to say, okay, we have probably more than enough than we had ever thought we need for that in earlier projections,
Right.
to look at that again with some engineers and say, okay, what has to be done?
Yeah, well, you got to pull the trigger. But I guess back to the rate thing, that's not something we can solve during budget time, right? That's got to be a village board action.
Right.
And probably for the next
Yeah.
billing, not the upcoming, because we're too close to it now.
Oh, yeah.
Patty will go into a tizzy.
Well,
Yeah, well, you'd have to have
you
a
gotta
public
pass a
hearing.
local law.
No, I know.
Right.
We would never have enough time reading wise, and all that. So maybe that's something, since Nick loves his data, he would want to, look at him hiding right now. He might want to work with, all of us on in the office. Or possibilities. Anybody's welcome, but I'm just saying,
Yeah, I guess the point is, we got to plan to, like we did for the connection fees, we ought to plan to have a hearing at some point this spring. And in the meantime, we have to figure out what's the proposal, right? We're not going to make up, like Dean said, the $100,000 in one billing cycle or even 1 year. I guess the more data you guys can get me, I'm regretting saying this out loud, would be more useful, like to know where we are for 2021. Did that straight line and the increase in expenses, did it level out, or is it still going up and up and up? That'll determine how aggressive we need to be. And then if I don't know, same thing with the revenues. If the revenue is going to keep going down, that's another issue. And yeah, I'll have to look at it.
Nick, I
There
meant to
might
ask
be
when
another-
you first looked at the chart, what was a little surprising is 2020 didn't go up a tick in revenues because everybody was home.
Remember, this is fiscal year 2020, so it ended in May last year.
Oh, I see. So you actually probably would see it the next.
That's why I'm saying I need the 2021 data, or at least
Yeah.
year to date, to help fill that in.
Because I bet that went up a tick. Not that it solves a problem, but I bet you it went up this year because everybody was home.
Yeah, hopefully. Although I
Well-
think Jeff said not really.
Well, in that spreadsheet, it has up to the last billing, which was October. So you'll see that some people, it did go up, but then other people that you thought we would be seeing a lot more, we didn't.
Yeah, because again, some people went for the hills, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I know
there's
some
another
neighbors that
area
are
we-
still in Florida.
There's another area we can look at is the salary lines, because you might be able to move some of the salary over to maybe the general fund or even the water fund a little bit more, that might help a little bit.
That is something we could handle or could do during
Well, have
budget.
Jeff look at like, for instance, the sewage treatment plant, salary for the operator, and maybe some administration there, but maybe you could lower that and then increase it in another fund. So,
That was another thing that I did notice, is that in fiscal year 2020, we did get hit by increases in Social Security, workers' comp, hospital, medical, and I thought there was one other. Is that because we had raises for people,
well,
and so
we
those benefits
added
went up?
another person. We added another, but we also, that we don't have that person now, but we, did add
Okay,
that. into
well,
the-
so that's good. So then maybe that was a blip then.
Right.
We added 2 people
Right,
and we have 1 left.
that's right.
Mhm.
It,
So we'll
it
look
still
at that
doesn't.
too.
It still doesn't even out for what was the equipment lines, but that was like the second high hitting thing, was there were some personnel costs that went up.
Yeah,
So maybe that was a blip.
okay.
This is probably a dumb or naive question, but we can't just simply take a look at the other 2 reserves and transfer.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. What?
We can't just, it's probably a naive question. We can't just take some of the reserves from the other 2 funds and just transfer them into the sewer fund.
I don't know about that. I'd have to check that to see if that were a possibility. I know you can't expend without, but I know you can I don't know whether it has to stay within the fund or whether you can move it to another fund. I don't know about that. I will check. I'd have to check with the controller's office on that.
All right, so obviously, we'll work on the possibilities for the sewer rates at another time. Obviously, take that off the, board right now. Nick, thanks for the nice slides, though. Those were very
Yeah,
helpful.
nice job.
Yeah, that was very
Yeah,
informative.
they look
It's
good.
like easier to see.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, I didn't like that one color yellow though. Could you change the one yellow to the slightly?
You know what? You laugh, but neither do I. I hate I spend all my time making charts and graphs at work, and I hate the default colors in Office. So I used to have a plugin on my old computer that would change it to better colors, but I haven't gotten a new one yet.
It's not in the budget.
Not in a budget.
Bet you didn't think I was going to agree to that, huh?
Is there anything else on the budget itself, additions, subtractions that anybody is interested in having Catherine make adjustments for?
I have to admit, I did not get a chance, having just got it today, to take a look at all the line items.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if we think of anything, is it worth emailing Catherine in advance of the next meeting, which is 2 weeks from now?
Yep.
But
I
other than
would
that,
say,
there was a couple changes. It sounded like, right? There were the salary change or the retirement changes. There was the 2% COLA. That was kind of it,
Social
right?
Security adjustments.
Yeah.
I'll check with audit control on the
Right.
moving reserve money around. I was also going to mention that you might not want to put the water reserve, that 25,000 in, follow up with what Carrie was saying, that I think we have, I don't have it in front of me, it's over 300,000 in that account now.
Yeah.
Jeff was kind of at a ballpark of around 200,000. So maybe we don't need to put more of that money in the reserve and let that fund build up a little bit along with the tower money coming in and the, just see if we can get that fund to come up as far as the water fund goes. So,
an idea.
yeah.
I'm looking
Yeah,
down the road that I know one thing that we were moving towards, and then the price was just too much for us, but I still would like, I know it does have to do with the water fund, is, Jeff, unless something has changed, we still, I know he is still very interested in the emergency transmission line. This is
I was
down.
gonna
the
ask you
road.
about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal that I just think for the safety of our residents, this is something that was talked about, I guess, for a couple of years, but nothing had come to fruition. We started doing some of the groundwork, so we have that done. But the price tag was just, at that time, was just too much. So something that we might want to keep putting away for as well. That's just another thing to think about, because
That would reinforce not taking money out of the water reserve.
It would. No, well, I
Right.
still think we have to use it for we have to get the dam taken care of. So I would like to do, pull the trigger on those things so that we know where we're really starting. But then, maybe not transfer out for that reason. I think that's Jeff, I think that's still important to you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But,
And-
but you could be looking at possible funding down the road with the infrastructure money that they may release, and
Yeah.
a big push for, intermunicipal cooperation.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the grants were good. The year we were looking at it was a 60%, 40%, but unfortunately the 40% was just, it was over what we couldn't come to it. But I have heard some talk about there being a little more money put into that. So, we'll keep, when that opens and stuff, we'll keep our eyes on that. Just,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Did you want to discuss the lights in the firehouse tonight?
Oh, who? Nick? Or say that-
No, I got a price on changing the truck bay lights in the firehouse to LEDs.
Oh,
Came up
right.
About $4,000.
I saw
Yeah,
that.
actually,
Oh, go
that
ahead.
was really, yeah. So I talked to Kyle earlier today, and he mentioned that we probably should have talked about it before he left. Is that something that we're going to try to do this year, or do we need to put that in the budget for next year? said it was $4,000?
It, right now would be the time for us to do it because with the projects on the horizon coming up here when weather breaks, this would be the perfect time. As soon as we could do it now, as soon as the weather is good enough to bring the trucks out and let them sit for the day, you know.
Yeah, I mean, is there any reason not to do it right now, or what were you looking for?
I'd like to do it right now because half the fixtures in there don't work.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with that. Is it one of the lines we currently have money in, you know, it's able to do our building repair line?
What do you think, Catherine? Could we come up with something for 4,000?
I think we could find it somewhere. Board might have to transfer it from another line into that, but it sounds like it would be the time to do it.
What about,
Especially,
what about pulling monies out of the
facade.
sidewalk line item?
That's what I was gonna say, right? So Carrie, you know, we're trying to wrap up with the Crown's House with those engineers, and as soon as they can finish that, I'd like to re-engage them to do some of those other repairs, so.
I agree. Yeah, because I think that's what we did talk about is these repairs out of that 125.
Right,
So
yeah.
Jeff-
yeah.
Actually, Catherine, and Jeff, that would be perfect spot to take it from.
Well, you've taken
Okay.
money out of that this year for the parking lot, you know, don't forget that. But next year, it's in there again next year, so
Yeah, but we had 125 in there.
Yeah, you didn't
Right.
use up the whole 125, right?
No, but I'm just saying, keep in mind that some of that money has been used.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
but we only it's for. It's
Yeah.
a cheap $4,000.
no, I think
as
it's great. I think it's
As long
great.
as you only used 121,000, we're okay.
Yeah, wait, so wait, do we not have money to do other repairs then?
No, you have, what did you spend out of there? Hold on. Firehouse repair. Well, it's not showing me, well, we must have used some of it last month and it's not showing in here right now. I'll find out how much it is.
I'm curious,
Year before we used
have we
26.
repaired the slab yet?
No, that's the stuff that I wanted to engage that engineering team with.
Oh, okay.
But they got not distracted, but we kind of also wanted them to come up with the RFP for the Crown's House. And they weren't the fastest turtle in the, I don't know what the metaphor is. I didn't want to ask them to do more than one thing at a time because I was afraid it would make things go even slower. So trying to get them to focus on one thing and then we'll bring them back to the firehouse.
Because Matt from B&L actually emailed me last week wondering about whether we're interested in picking back up on the facade work. I didn't respond at this point.
I don't know, based on how that RFP went, I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the other guys because it seemed like they were coming up with a little bit more creative solutions. You know, we're not looking for $1 million renovation here, right? We just need something to get us through another 10 years or so, maybe not even 10 years.
Well, I'm not sure that's exactly right. The scope of work is what we asked them to do, and it wasn't extravagant. It's just it was way off.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
Yeah, well, but how do you explain that?
If it was my estimate, I'd be jabbering and going that because it's inexcusable.
That's my point.
We wouldn't have gone ahead with that project. We knew it was going to be $100,000 more than what it was.
Right.
And unfortunately, that was just one of the issues, right? So we got lights, we got floor, we got the facade, and I can't remember what the fourth thing was or something. There is still the bricks we wanted to try to fix on the bottom. So, I mean, let's see how these guys go. I mean, I'm not completely impressed by this other engineering firm. At least they're local.
Who is it?
Hmm?
Who is it?
Insight.
I've heard of them. I haven't worked with them.
They're right next to the Guilderland Firehouse on Western Ave, between them and the whatever that historical house is.
Gotcha.
So
Schoolcraft House, yeah.
yeah, the Schoolcraft House.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were pretty good. I don't know, hopefully we're making progress. Hopefully we can wrap it up and we can get back to this. They're also not used to doing asbestos projects. That's not like their bread and butter, but it just so happened that the guy that was there in his previous job did a lot of asbestos work. So, he kind of indulged us on this RFP. So hopefully the other stuff will go faster. We'll see. If it starts to become pulling teeth to get them to do that project too, then yeah, we'll look at the rest of the list.
I think it's a sign of the times, not so much always, right now, getting a lot of different companies to look at things quickly. Everything seems to have really slowed down in the past year, so I have hope, though.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I'm not behind at work, so.
Catherine, one thing on your list that maybe you're making of all these things we're asking for you for next time.
Yeah.
And I should have asked you earlier, actually, I didn't think about it, but if we decided that we need to raise some revenue and to even just regular taxes for this budget, what would that be under the current tax cap? What would we be getting?
I've got to look in for the formula for that.
No, I figure that.
Yeah, but I will do that. Yeah.
Yeah, just so we have that information before we make our, I
Yeah.
don't know if it'll be our final draft next meeting or the following, but just so we know what we're
Okay.
dealing with there.
Yeah, that'd be good to know.
Yeah, so you're gonna add in the 2% cost of living for the next draft.
Yep.
And a few things you and Jeff were gonna check on as far as, I guess that was for the current projects, not for the draft or for this next year. What else do we have?
The retirement funds.
Retirement,
Right.
those included as well. I have too many notes here now.
I know, I'm doing the same thing.
I really think that was it. There really wasn't
Yeah,
many
no, I think
changes.
that was it too. I think we were talking a lot
Okay.
about the current projects as well, so I just
Yeah.
wanted to make
There's a
sure.
couple minor ones. I'm not sure. I think they're already in the trial budget. We were only gonna hold the 1,000 for Schilling Park playground equipment.
Yes,
And we kind of went back and forth on whether or not we wanted to take the banner item out for the year. I don't know if we need to do that yet until we see the next trial budget. but-
yeah, let's look at the next one and see. We might not have, because he had the 9,000 for the sidewalk, so.
Right. Yeah, all this sort of thing was some of the other tweaks we talked about.
Yeah. No, that would be good. All right, anybody have anything else they want to include before we adjourn for the
Nope,
evening? Jeff's good. Catherine, you good?
I'm good.
I'm okay.
Patty, all set?
Yep, just that we have a board meeting next Tuesday.
That was my next thing. I was gonna say, village board meeting is Tuesday at 7, held remotely, and the next two budget workshops are May 10th at 6 o'clock,
March.
Okay.
and then May 17th if needed. We'll
Yep.
decide at the next meeting whether or not we need to spend St. Patrick's Day together. But all wear green.
All right.
John, you could.
Bring the bagpipes out.
Hey, Carrie,
Yes,
does it sound better now than it did earlier?
it's a little bit, it's just still feeding back. You were good at the last meeting we had. I don't know what that was, but
Yeah,
Headphones, man.
does that help?
I did that and people told me it didn't help, so I stopped doing it.
Hmm.
What I did was, it's better because I've gotten out of being through my remote connection to the office, which is part of the issue.
Could be. All right, I gotta run, guys. Thank you.
All right, well.
Wait, we need to adjourn.
Yeah, I have to have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is Nick second would be?
I'll second.
I'm sorry, Dean, roll call, please. I can't say names tonight.
Trustee Whalen,
In favor?
trustee Ganance,
In favor?
trustee Farronkov,
In favor.
trustee Scally,
In favor.
Mayor Denine.
In favor, thanks, everybody. Have a good
Thank you.
night, and I'll see you soon. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Michelle, what time did you come on?
Like 6:07.
Okay. I saw you at 6:11, but I figured it was a little
All right, well
earlier
then
than.
just do that then.